I mentioned we've got a special guest, and it's time to introduce him. His name is the one, the only, Dan Allman from Deep Silver. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for presenting me with my full title there. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, you legally changed your name to Allman from Deep Silver. That's your new last name. We're going to talk about Gamescom. So if you missed this, last week Gamescom started in Germany. It's a big games expo open to the public, traditionally a physical event. Obviously this year, a little bit different with all the COVID regulations going on, but still lots of game announcements, lots of brand new game trailers. And we thought what we would do is go through a few of them. And you'll notice that Dan is particularly well placed for one of them, because the first one we're going to talk about is Saints Row. So congratulations to Dan Allman and the rest of the team at Deep Silver for the unveiling of a new Saints Row. Congratulations, Dan. Do you feel good about this?
It's just such like a massive weight off. We've had this sort of in our pocket. You know, we've all sort of seen it and sort of lived it for so long, and just sort of really happy to get it out there finally.
Yeah. And it's a brand new game. It's a reboot, new characters, a new setting. We've heard a bit about it during the opening night live stream. We saw a CG trailer, which the folks at home can see in the background now. We also saw a little bit of gameplay as well, which was really exciting during the show. You must be excited about this. It must feel great to put it out into the world and see the reaction and get that feeling. Is it good?
Absolutely. I think a lot of pretty much all the team, one of the reasons for joining companies like Deep Silver, you look at the sort of games list and what they've done before, and Saints Row is one of those games that a lot of us are really, really extremely passionate about. So after Saints Row 4, even just as a fan, you sort of ask yourself, where can you go from being the president of, I think, the world in an augmented reality simulation fighting aliens?
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of leg room left. So I think the more that the team at Volition sort of looked at it and sort of thought, where can we go? The reboot just seemed to be that sort of resounding, big idea of what they can do with the series.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of new stuff, but the core of what Saints Row is still, and like I think that's what the whole point of the trailer was. Like, they're still showing all of that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's grounded, but with that Saints Row charm, it's still there. It's not 100% serious by any means.
Yeah, it looks great. Can't wait to see more. And obviously fans can find more at saintsrow.com if they're interested in learning more about Saints Row. There's all sorts of information up there, and more information.
Whoever built that site.
Yeah, whoever built that site was a genius. Like, just top to bottom, like perfect website. But yeah, you can find more there, and I know that you guys are launching more content there all the time. So yeah, fans of Saints Row should definitely check that out. We were happy to get you on the show because obviously Saints Row has been announced, but I also happen to know that you're a big fan of games in general, not just the ones that you directly work on. So we thought we'd go through a few trailers as well of some of the other stuff that got announced and talk about it. The next one, or the first one I want to talk about really, is Marvel's Midnight Suns. So this is a new Marvel game from Firaxis, the creators of XCOM. It's a tactical RPG that's going to explore the darker side of the Marvel universe, including some characters like Doctor Strange, Blade, and Ghost Rider, but also seemingly like magic-enhanced, maybe even slightly evil versions of fan favourites like Iron Man, Captain America, and Wolverine. We've seen some gameplay now as well from this, and it looks somewhat like you'd expect out of the XCOM team, kind of turn-based combat. However, in interviews, they have been keen to point out that XCOM is about making you feel weak, and in this game, you're a superhero, right? So they want you to make you feel really powerful. So it's going to be pretty different in terms of how those mechanics translate into the actual gameplay, it sounds like. Are you excited for this one, Dan? What do you make of this?
Yeah, like the most interesting thing for me with this is it's a Marvel game, but with, by the sounds of it, a completely custom hero, which I don't think has been done before in a Marvel game. So really interested to see how that all sort of plays out. I think there's some sort of idea that some parts of that are sort of locked, like the story behind the hero is that they're the son or daughter of, I think, the main baddie.
The villain. The big bad.
There she is. Yeah, so really interested to see how that plays out. But it's got some of my all-time faves in there, like having a game that's sort of crossing over stuff like Iron Man and Wolverine's always going to be a big tick for me. So yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, and obviously there was the Avengers game last year, which scratched some itches for fans, but maybe this is something a bit different to that, which is quite exciting. It's not just like a traditional third-person action brawler. So yeah, really excited to see and hear more from this. Also unveiled at the show was new footage from Call of Duty. We got an extended look actually, about 9 minutes of gameplay from Call of Duty, including some really cinematic set pieces, which the franchise is somewhat known for. And obviously it's World War II. Do we think this game's going to be a success? I think it is, isn't it? Like, Call of Duty is always a success. They almost don't need to advertise it. It's like the Coca-Cola of video games at this point. You know, people are going to drink that anyway. But still fascinating to see it in action, to see the kind of level of intensity they're aiming for with some of the set pieces. Are you a Call of Duty fan, Dan? Will you be picking this one up this holiday season?
Yeah, it's one of those that like I've not sort of invested enough in the sort of campaign side of Call of Duty for a few years now, like since the old soap days. So I'm really excited by this one. I think the idea of having these sort of like 4 lead characters through the campaign is going to be really interesting. As much as I think there's some New Zealanders out there that are a little bit annoyed about one of them being Australian.
They've retconned New Zealand into Australia. It's all the same. According to Activision, it's all just one big island.
But I think it looks great, and I think they've even doubled down. I think on their website at the minute they've literally got it in the title as like the best World War game ever, or something along those lines. So I think they know what they're doing. Yeah,
definitely looks cinematic as hell. It looks like it's got that almost Uncharted type. Stuff's just exploding around you. There's houses falling down. You're inside the house. You're outside the house. There's bricks falling on you. All sorts of things. So yeah, excited to see more from that. And you can watch the whole thing, obviously, on YouTube if you want to see all 9 minutes. I'm not going to play you all 9 minutes on the show. That's like half our runtime. But yeah, definitely an interesting look at that. Now for something completely different. Let's talk about WWII. So this game... I'm going to play you this trailer now. And I love this trailer. When I first saw this trailer, I was like, I don't know what's going on, I don't get it. And after watching this trailer 4 or 5 times, I feel like I'm extremely into it. So let's give the fans at home, or the folks at home, I should say, future fans of WWII, a glimpse at this. So it's, how do we even describe this? You're exploring a city, you're capturing creatures, you're fighting creatures, and it's all rendered in this kind of gorgeous, half cartoon, half photorealistic style, which I think is just incredible. It's got that great Japanese kind of pop soundtrack, that kind of Asian pop music sound, which we love. And yeah, I mean, have you watched this trailer, Dan? How many times have you watched this trailer? Is the first question.
Like when I first saw it, I had to watch it again almost instantly just to check I hadn't fallen asleep and dreamt some really weird, vivid dream. But it's bonkers, isn't it? It is like they've really reined in all these various like levels from, there's almost some elements of almost like Dragon Ball in there, and then you've got, obviously like aspects of Pokemon, like some of the world feels like Katamari style madness.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not going to be fun, is it? This game is going to be insane. Like, I think if you can take on, giant creatures with one of those space hopper things, you're going to be all right.
Yeah, I mean, folks at home now can see you get to ride Little Alpaca as well, so it's clearly the game of the year. I apologise to Saints Row and all the other games, but unless you could ride an alpaca, I'm not interested anymore. It's a new IP, and we've had a couple of new IPs before, but I mean, Deep Silver launched new IPs as well from time to time, and obviously it's really difficult. Like, how important is that first big trailer for a new IP, do you think?
I think, specifically with the new IPs, like you just need that wow factor, and especially if you're showing something like this off during an event like Gamescom, it's that, how are you going to make this sort of stick in the back of people's minds so that when it's all over and they're chatting with their mates, that they go, did you see that? And I mean, could they have done much better than they've done with this? I don't think so. It's anyone I know that's watched it has gone, this has come up in the conversation.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's interesting that the sort of wackiness has then not to always go back to digital marketing. I know That's my forte. But if you go over to their website, it's all very, very like this as well. Like it's like you scroll down and things are moving all over the place and things like that. So
Yeah.
they've really sort of got the tone right, I think, for what it looks like this game is.
A remarkable sense of style. Other games shown at the event included Sifu, Cult of the Lamb, and Jet the Far Shore. And one of the big games that showed up, perhaps somewhat surprisingly because it was not at the Microsoft event the day before, is Halo Infinite. So we saw some new cinematics, and they announced their release date. It's December 8th, which is an unusual release date in the world of games because it means they're skipping the biggest holiday sales in America, the traditional Black Friday sales. But I guess the question is, and this is a question I'm going to throw to you, Dan, for a game like Halo, does that matter? Like, this is going to Game Pass on day one. It's a juggernaut of a franchise, not quite the level it was when Halo 3 came out, but it still does good numbers whenever they release something. Is this going to affect them releasing that late in the year?
I think you've hit the nail on the head. The thing is that this is Halo on Game Pass day one. Is the intention for this to shift units, or is it to shift people buying memberships for Christmas or upgrading to the Series X if they can get their hands on one? Obviously,
yeah.
I think that's got to be the strategy of why they're pushing it early December. I can't see why else they've picked that date, or why they're not holding back for the sort of co-op multiplayer elements and stuff that are still being worked on and things like that. So
yes, so you mentioned there, we already know that Forge and Campaign Co-op will not be available at launch. I guess people are wondering, and fans are wondering, is this launch date the sign of a game that needs every minute it can get of dev time before it comes out? Is this symptomatic of troubled development? I know there's been lots of stories out of the Halo team. There's been comings and goings at high-level ranking, staff there. Who knows? I'm sure there'll be a Bloomberg article about it one day, which blows our minds about how complicated the development was of Halo Infinite. But I guess maybe some cause for concern there. People are starting to wonder, this game was supposed to come out last year, and if half of it's still not ready this year, what's going on? What's going on at 343 right now? But hopefully they can iron it out, because I think you, like me, we're both Halo fans. We want this game to succeed, we want it to be good. So fingers crossed, and good luck if you work at 343. I hope the next few months aren't too painful for you. In further Xbox news, we found out that cloud gaming is coming to consoles. This is Xbox's service where through Game Pass you can play games from the internet directly onto your machine, regardless of how powerful your machine is. What this means is you'll now be able to try before you install with games on Game Pass. So from your console, you'll be able to try a game without downloading the entire thing. And it also means, in interesting news for fans of the older consoles, if you own an Xbox One owners will be able to play Xbox Series X versions of games, and even potentially Xbox Series X exclusive games, through cloud gaming. So it's almost like helping people who haven't been able to find an Xbox Series X yet still keep up with the latest trends in gaming. Dan, have you tried cloud gaming on Game Pass? Are you excited for this?
I'm really excited for it. Like I say, it's one of those where this is an even geekier sort of thing. Why this is a big solution for me is I work and game out in the shed because I'm a dad of two very smallings, and constantly if I'm out here and it's like a bit cold or a bit hot and you think, oh, I'll go game inside, you don't really want to lug everything sort of out of here into the idea of maybe being able to get like a cheap Xbox One and sort of stick it in the living room and sort of have that as a sort of cloud piece. I think that's going to be a massive game changer. Like the amount of people that are suddenly going to have more than one Xbox console in their home, I think it's going to be a biggie.
Yeah. And obviously already available on phones. So if you want to try it on a phone right now, in a browser, on a PC, you can do. We tried it on the show a little while ago. It's impressive. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely an impressive showcase of technology, and hopefully they'll continue to improve it over time. Last news story then for the week. We've got some updates for you about Horizon Forbidden West, which we've talked about on the show previously. It was delayed due to the pandemic, and we now know that it's coming out in February. In fact, it's currently slated for the 18th of February. So good news for Horizon fans. Dan, you're a Horizon fan. Are you ready for this?
It's when it first got announced, the original Horizon, and we had this sort of like, oh, it kind of looks a bit like it's too much like Tomb Raider with dinosaurs. That was my selling point. I was like, it does look like Tomb Raider with dinosaurs, doesn't it? Let's get it. but like I say, the sort of the advancements they've made in this one already look insane. I think, yeah, I'm really excited by this, and even more excited the fact that it's really not that long to wait either. I think it was one of those that everyone was sort of a little bit worried we were going to get like a vague late 2022 date. But February's not that long. By the time Christmas is over and the hangovers have disappeared from New Year's, it'll be here. So.
The day you give up on your New Year's resolution is the day
Yeah.
that you pre-order Horizon. Cool. Well, there we go. I hope you enjoyed that little slice of gaming news. If you like gaming news, if you're interested in more insights and views from the Play team, check out our blog at etchplay.com. Every Friday we post a roundup of all the latest industry news that's been interesting to us. So hopefully you guys find it interesting too. And we'll be back next week with more. Dan, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Enjoy the cake.
Thank you.